What is going on there, YouTube? How are y'all doing tonight? My name is Chip, and you have tuned in to Ask-A-Vaper. Now, this is an educational program, and we try to help combat misinformation out there. We do our best to answer all your questions. So, if you're watching this and you got a question, please put it in the chat box so that we can see what you're doing and what kind of questions you have. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And if we don't have an answer, I will do my best to get you one, I promise. That being said, we want to welcome everybody that's watching. I'm not a professional video guy or web streamer guy or any of that stuff. Totally taught myself how to do this over the course of the last year or so. We've been doing this show every second Tuesday of the month and answering all of your vape-related questions. So, now that we got that off and running, hold on 1 second. Gotta stay hydrated. Sorry about that. So, now that we've got that taken care of, let's get on down to the nitty gritty. Any of you guys that have ever watched us before know that we always like to start stuff out with an advocacy update. And we are really big on advocacy here at RVA Vapes. So, the latest and greatest news is... So, flavor bans. Now, we talked about flavor bans last month. And the reason we talked about it is because there was a bill in San Francisco that was circulating around and had some legs, basically stating that they wanted to ban all flavored e-liquids, similar to other types of tobacco products. They used to make flavored cigarettes and things like, and flavored cigars, whatever you want to call it. And San Francisco legislators decided that they wanted to put the same stipulations in place for e-liquid, citing child enticing packaging and I forget the other term they use, but basically marketing to children. And so because of that, some guys got together, maybe some girls too, I don't know, I'm not trying to be sexist, and put together a bill that would ban all sales of flavored e-liquid in the San Francisco area. And guess what? They passed it. Yeah, that's right. Other states are now following suit to try and do the same thing. I know there's one going on in New York State right now, and I want to say there's another state somewhere, but I couldn't find it before I had to get the show rolling. So that being said, I personally really enjoy flavors. This one is a watermelon flavor, and I've been vaping watermelon flavored e-liquid ever since I started vaping almost 5 years ago. And for me, flavoring is one of the biggest things that helped me get off traditional tobacco products. So, as a means to a tobacco harm reduction platform, which is what we consider vaping, flavors for me was a big deal because finding the flavor that I really enjoyed really helped me transition off of traditional tobacco products. Sorry about that. We are still a business here after all. Flavors like that helped me transition off of traditional tobacco products and completely stop smoking. I haven't smoked a cigarette in over 4.5 years, and it's all thanks to watermelon flavored e-liquid. So, the reason I bring that up is because the FDA has a comment period right now, and they're asking for comments specifically related to flavored e-liquids. So, I've got the web page up here. Boom. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this link down in the chat box for you guys. Oh, crap. There we go. Right about now. And if you follow that link, it will take you to the comments section, specifically relating to flavored e-liquid. And what we're trying to do is get as many people as we possibly can to comment on this. So far, they've done some surveys and some things like that to try to build up a little bit of information or data based on how many people actually need the flavoring in the nicotine solutions or the e-liquid. And this comment period for the FDA is another big way that we can make sure we as vapors get our voices heard. So the comment period just got extended like a week or two ago, but it's coming up soon. I believe there's only, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. Like the end of the month, I think, is the comment period window. So if you haven't done it yet, please click on that link in the chat box. I think it's over here. I'm so backwards, I can't tell what's going on. And drop the information that you have about your testimony, your personal experience with flavored e-liquids, and that will help us build a case as to why we need these different flavors. And from a vapor standpoint, and on the backside of it, from a vape industry standpoint, if you will. I know we have never supported companies that put like cartoons on the labels or any type of intellectual property theft or anything like that, and that's something that vape shops and distributors can do to help combat this, because at the end of the day, voting with our dollars is all we can really do as far as letting people know what we want and what we don't want. So even if it's your favorite e-liquid in the whole wide world, if it's got a picture of a cartoon bear or some shit like that on it, you might not want to buy that anymore. Try to find something else that's appropriately packaged, more like an adult type of product. This is a really good example. It's very simple, very clean, but it still looks good. This is an adult packaged product. And that's really what we want in this industry, because after all, this is an adult product. So that is just about that. If the link doesn't work or you can't find it or anything, Vape News Magazine or vapenews.com has a thing in their trending news section about it, and you can find the link there as well. But it's basically at regulations.gov, and then e-liquid, what are they calling it? Regulation of Flavors in Tobacco Products. That's the file or the comment board, if you will, that they've got it labeled under. So that's step one. The second piece of our advocacy update, I always say that weird. The second piece of our advocacy update revolves around the American Cancer Society. You would think that vaping and people that are against cancer would be like BFFs, you know what I mean? All logical sense would state that those two things go together pretty well, not necessarily like peas and carrots or Forrest and Jenny type situation, but they definitely should be in the same conversation, I feel like. Previously, the ACS has been very leery of vaping in general, just based on a lack of research type of comment, or what's the word I'm looking for? State of mind, if you will. But recently, they've decided to kind of turn their opinion a little bit, because the evidence is pretty undeniable at this point. So I just want to read you a little piece here from the press release they put out. or statement, whatever they're calling it these days. It says, in this rapidly changing tobacco landscape, it is critical that consumers receive accurate information about different tobacco products and the role of nicotine in tobacco-related disease. I feel like I've said that before. Many consumers are misinformed about the harms of electronic nicotine delivery system INS, aka vaping. Blah, 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 blah. Many adults believe erroneously that vaping is as harmful as combustible tobacco products, and the level of public understanding has deteriorated over time. I wonder why that could be. You know, it's not because states are putting up billboards and shit saying that, vaping is a gateway to smoking and ridiculous crap like that. By 2015, 35.7% of respondents mistakenly believe that harm associated with vaping is about the same as conventional smoking. So whoever put out the PR push with that, kudos to you. You're definitely doing good. But hopefully everybody watching this knows that that's pretty much bull. But they are winning the campaign of misinformation. And that's the reason that I sit here every second Tuesday of the month to make sure that you guys out there in YouTube land don't have to worry about that. You can get all the information you want right from the horse's mouth. It goes on to say, at the same time, the Monitoring the Future study as of 2017, vaping has one of the lowest levels of perceived risk for regular use of drugs, including alcohol. Nicotine's not really a drug, but I see where they're going with this. Among adolescents, although many nicotine delivery systems flavor additives and other chemicals, they do not burn tobacco, a process that yields an estimated 7,000 chemicals, talking about smoking, including at least 70 carcinogens. Those are the things that can cause cancer. Thus, public misunderstanding underscores the urgent need for consumer education about the absolute and relative risks posed by different tobacco products and to reinvigorate smokers' understanding of the importance of quitting combustible tobacco. Makes sense to me. Whereas complete information on the potential risk of vaping is not yet available, we know that's crap. There is a sufficient amount of information to allow the American Cancer Society to act now with a clear focus on the primary goal of ending deadly combustible tobacco use, which is responsible for approximately 500,000 deaths per year, 30% of them cancer-related. Given this imperative, the Cancer Society will provide smokers and the public with clear and accurate information available on the absolute and relative health impact of combustible tobacco products and vaping, as well as other novel tobacco products. In partnership with others, the American Cancer Society will increase its efforts to guide smokers towards evidence-based cessation options and enable them to quit as quickly as possible and eliminate their desire to smoke combustible cigarettes. I felt like that little meme just a second ago where Kermit's drinking the tea, sitting at the window like, who would have thought? Nobody said that before. Just sitting here sipping my tea. About freaking time. Like, I know we've lost some ground in a couple of areas, especially relating to legislation and things like that. But, for me, and as hard as we work, and as hard as the guys at the VSFA work, and the VTA, and CASA, it's about freaking time somebody put up, some good, factual, positive reinforcement for what we're trying to do here. Like, I know Big Tobacco's got billions of dollars at stake with this, and they're scared to death they're going to lose their market, and they're going to have to come up with something else that kills people or whatever. But, as a former smoker, it's about damn time the American Cancer Society stepped up. Most of the positive things that we've heard about vaping have all come from Europe. The United States does not want to touch this stuff with a 10-foot pole because they know what's going to happen. And it's the same thing that's happening in Europe. When they put up public service announcements and, like those quit smoking campaigns. They don't bother attacking vaping like we do here in the States. They put it right next to, your nicotine gum and your patches and your Chantix or whatever the fuck they sell over there. And that's the way this needs to be. We need to stop treating vaping like a redheaded stepchild, because I see people walk in the door here every single day that used to smoke and haven't smoked in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years even. And, I'm not a scientist by any means, but I know if this worked for me and I see, 50 to 100 people every day walk in the door and it's working for them, then somebody needs to communicate this data to the people that are supposed to be making these laws, because at the end of the day, they work for us. And if they're going to continue to start bashing and stifling the technology that's literally saving people's lives, then we need to vote them out. End of story. It's been said in previous elections. Dimitri said this a couple of years ago, and I was kind of on the fence about it, but at this point, I'm a single issue voter, folks. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but at the end of the day, I am a single issue voter. If you're against vaping, I am not voting for you. I don't care what you got to say. I don't care what your policies are. If you can't get behind this kind of technology that I have seen improve people's lives and reduce the risk of cancer exponentially, you're not very intelligent, and I ain't got nothing to do with you. End of story. But that's the end of my little rant. I just wanted to bring that American Cancer Society stuff up because I thought it was really interesting. And that's, that to me speaks volumes, because those guys have a lot of money coming from a lot of places that don't like people like me and vape shops like what we got going on here. So for them to finally stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough. We need to stop dragging this dead horse and get on the right side of history, as it's been said. So, if anybody's got questions about that, I'll get to them when I see them pop up. What's up, guys? How you doing? Hey, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry, I got to catch up with all the local friends. This isn't just a show for people in the Virginia area. It's a show for everybody that's interested. We don't really have an agenda. I'm not trying to sell you nothing. At the end of the day, we just want to keep everybody informed. And I'd rather ask a question here, because we've had people come in from all over the place and oh, well, such and such at this place told me this, that, and the other. And, that's really not safe, or that's not the best information possible. So I figure, why not do my part and get on here and help spread knowledge, because that's what it's all about, Shout out to Bill Nye saving the world. I'm doing my part, Bill Nye. All right. So that brings us to our next segment in the show, called Common Misconceptions. Now, this segment has gone through a couple of different phases, and I think I finally stumbled upon something that works. And the one I want to specifically talk about tonight is regulated versus mechanical. So, for those of you that aren't aware, regulated mods are the ones like this that have a chipset in them, fire button, adjustments so you can turn the wattage up and down, all that good stuff. What most people are probably using nowadays. However, there is another segment called mechanical mods, and a lot of them look very similar to this. Fairly simple tubes. Some of them have a side fire button deal here. Most of them have a bottom fire button, or more common these days, you're going to see something like this, a little box. This one happens to be a squonk box. You got your squonk bottle here, and you can see your contacts for the batteries all up in here. But there's no adjustments, there's no chipset. It's just, battery to connection. You push the button, it completes the circuit. You have vapor. Voila. I can't go a week or two without seeing some news story about some guy whose vape blew up. And we've talked about battery safety over and over again here, and 90% of the time that comes into play in these stories. I feel bad for the people, don't get me wrong, I don't wish harm upon anybody, but it's lack of taking care of your batteries and not understanding the equipment that you have. We specifically got away from selling mechanical devices here for this exact reason, because not everybody is very in tune with their vape, doesn't know the ins and outs of it, doesn't know all the circuitry and how they work exactly. They just put a battery in it and they vape it. And I get that. I totally do. But if you are using one of these mechanical devices, or you're looking at getting one of these mechanical devices, you need to know a couple of things. First of all, most of them do not have an off switch, okay? They do have some that are designed with what's called a locking ring, or like a little plate you can flip that deactivates the firing mechanism or button. If you have to have a mechanical, I would definitely look at something like that. And wherever you're buying it from, you should be able to talk to somebody and ask them, where's the lock button, or where's the lock ring? And they should be able to point you in the right direction. The second thing is that these things, because they're not regulated, they're mechanical, don't have any sort of conditioning of the power. So what that really means is you push the button, the battery starts flowing, and there's no way to control how much or how little. You just get whatever the battery's got. And that's another place where people run into problems, because if you've got a build on there or a coil in your tank that's lower than what the battery is designed to be able to fire, then you can run into problems there. And that's where you see, stuff happening where the battery gets hot and people drop it because they're like, oh, my vape's going to blow up. It's just that your resistance is too low for the battery that you're using. And all these mechanicals take, 18650s like this, or 21700s like this. And that's where it's really important to know what the specs are on your battery. Now you can see this one here says high drain 40 amp. Just because it says it on the label doesn't mean I'm going to believe that. This one does happen to be rated at 40 amp pulse. Whereas this one doesn't have any of that information on it. So you have to, find out what kind of batteries you're looking at and make sure they're correct for the application that you're going to use them for. There's a lot of complicated Ohm's law and resistance and things like that go into play. But this is another reason why most people are better off with regulated devices. The third piece of this is that overall performance, for the first maybe 30 minutes that you're using that mechanical device, it's going to hit really good as long as you don't have any of those things out of whack. But after that, you get battery sag. And that basically means that the voltage still in the battery is less than what you're expecting or what you're looking for to come out of it. So you get 30 minutes of good hit usage that you can match on any regulated device. And the rest of the time, it hits like it's, I don't know, like a car about to run out of gas. It's just, like the little engine that could. It's going and it's going, but it's not really doing the job. It's not functioning at peak performance. And that's an inherent problem with mechanical mods. They call it battery sag, but it basically just means that the voltage on the battery keeps getting lower and lower and lower and lower every time you hit it. So why would I want to mess with that when I can set this thing at 55 watts, and you see there it says 2.67 volts. Every time I push this button, it's giving me that same 2.67 volts. Every time. And if the batteries don't have enough juice to fire it, it's going to tell me low battery. And then I can swap it out, put it in there. I don't have to guess if the batteries are getting low and I need to charge them or not. With a mechanical mod, it's kind of a guessing game. I was vaping that Squonk box I just showed you there 2 nights ago, and I'm hitting it, and I'm like, I think the battery's dead. Took it off, put it on the charger. It was still halfway charged. I'm like, crap, mechanical. I forgot. So I put it back in there and vaped it for another, 30 minutes. Took it out, put it on the charger, and it was ready to be charged. So it's a guessing game. But the regulated side of this is much simpler. You set it and forget it. Just like the rotisserie chicken deal or Ron Propel or whatever that was back in the day. You don't have to mess with it. You can just set it and you get that same consistent output. With the mechanical mods, first 20 or 30 minutes, next 20 or 30 minutes, next 20 or 30 minutes, then you got to charge it. Even with these new 21700 batteries that are phenomenal, by the way, you're still looking best case scenario at about 6 hours of usage time. So compare that with a single battery device like this guy we're going to talk about in a minute here, And this is going to last you close to 8 to 10 hours. And you're going to get a consistent hit every time. Wherever you set that at, it's going to hit it. First 30 minutes, second 30 minutes, third 30 minutes, fourth 30 minutes, fifth 30 minutes, sixth 30 minutes, until it's dead. And then you switch the battery or charge it. So it just makes way more sense from a practical performance standpoint to use a regulated device. And people tell me all the time, my mechanical hits harder, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can turn this up to 230 watts. Your single battery mechanical can't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And if it does, you're going to hurt the battery. And if you hurt the battery, that's when you get problems. I get it. I've used mechanicals. I still use them from time to time, but it's not pocket friendly. I'm always sketched out that I'm going to hit the button in my pocket and it's going to fire on me. And that's where you see like the videos of people sitting on the bus and walking around the gas station, or, just not taking care of their batteries, not putting them in a case like this, just throwing them empty in their pocket all willy-nilly. Like, just throw that in my pocket. I would never do that. That's asking for trouble. If I put that in my pocket and something didn't happen, I would be surprised. So, the regulated versus mechanical, I just honestly, unless you're into cloud comps, and even still, I would prefer mechanical because it's a much more consistent hit. But I just don't see the place in vaping for mechanical devices anymore. If you build your own coils and you know how to navigate through Ohm's law and you can tell me how many amps your battery does pulse versus nominal, then go ahead. I have no problem with somebody that knows what they're doing using a mechanical mod. That don't bother me at all. But if you can't tell me the resistance of your coil, then chances are you really don't need a mechanical mod, and you're probably going to enjoy a regulated mod better. Yes, they are slightly more expensive, but when you're talking about $10 versus ending up, looking like a fool on a vape meme, or possibly ending up in the hospital because you're messing with something that's above your pay grade, don't mess with mechanical mods. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. So that's all I've got for that. If you have any other questions about, Ohm's law, I saw a couple people asking about, just Google it. That'll be much easier than me dropping links and telling you all this, that, and the other. And just think about how it applies to vaping. You've got voltage or power, resistance, and then your battery voltage or wattage. And those three things kind of come into play. You will see stuff about the case and the battery internal resistance, but those things are so small that they're not really going to skew the equation enough to make a difference. You're talking about percentage points there, so it's not really something, you don't have to get that deep and technical into it. But just know that we are, cognizant of that stuff, and we do know some of that stuff here at RVA Vapes, and hopefully at most of your local vape shops. And if they can't explain it to you, send me an email. I could do a whole video on that if you really want me to. But I'm not trying to take up your time with that boring stuff if you're not super interested in it. So, if we don't have any more questions about mechanical versus regulated, we're going to power through here. We're about halfway done with the show. So let me switch on over here to some of our new goodies that we've got. Just a little quick synopsis here. And we're starting out with this guy, which is probably one of my favorite new little things we got here. Now this guy is from our good friends at Vaporesso. And you can see it's not very big at all. This is up next to my Espion Infinite that they sent me here. And, it's not short by any means, but it's definitely skinny. I think it's what is this, 22? Yeah, I believe it's a 22 millimeter diameter here. Let me see if I can find out for sure before I start running my mouth off. Whoop, nope, that doesn't tell me. Where did you go? Really? Here we go. Yes, this is the Cascade 1. They do have a plus version that's a little bit bigger. But for the price difference, I don't really think it's that much better, to be honest with you. So we got the little guys because people like the little ones. It is 22 millimeters diameter across this way. So it's not skinny, but it's not fat. It's kind of like right in between, if you will. Trying to give you something to compare it to. Here you go. Glass 60 ml bottle of juice. I'm sure most people know about how big those are. So you can see it's a lot smaller diameter wise. It's 1800 milliamp hours, so you get more than your AIO, but not quite a full 18650. Comes with a Cascade mini tank, they're calling it, but it does separate into two pieces, so you could put any kind of tank on this bad boy if you really wanted to. But it's got a 3.5 mil capacity, so it's a little bit bigger juice wise than a lot of pins that I've seen out there, especially for the 22 millimeter size. And it's got a new improvement on the top. You can see any of you guys that have messed with some of these Smoke Tex things or whatever, the top just kind of slides over, and now the newer ones have the little latch there. This one's actually spring loaded, so you pull it up and then it swivels open. How cool is that? And when you push it back, it automatically clamps back down and nice and closed there. So that's kind of cool. But it's 22 millimeters across, 121 tall. Now, this bad boy runs the Omni Board Mini. Now, what exactly that means, I'm not 100% sure. But I can tell you that it is almost instantaneous ramp up. It's got low voltage protection, short circuit protection, no load protection, over temperature protection, over time protection, and low power protection. So basically, it's going to tell you a whole bunch of things that it's not going to be able to do if you try to put the wrong thing on it, or hit it longer than you're supposed to, or leave it on the charger too long. It's got you covered. It's got protection for all that stuff. So with this guy, you also get the ability to run the new mesh coils that they've got, which is super, super cool. It does have a 2 amp quick charge functionality, charges from 0 to 100 in 1 hour flat, which is nice. They do have some standard Kanthal like round wire coils, as well as some ceramic coils available with it, but most of the people that I've talked to that have these really dig the mesh coils. And it's a 0.18 mesh, so it's right between the two. Ooh, excuse me. But it's got 3 flavor or airflow channels on the bottom there, so it's got really good airflow on it, but they are adjustable, so you can turn them down like that. And because of the mesh coils and, you know, the already phenomenal flavor off of the Cascade tank, just in a reduced size, this thing is phenomenal. This, to me, is kind of becoming a new standard pin for a lot of folks here. So if you're in the market for a new pin vape, or you want to check out something different that's small and compact, I would highly recommend the Cascade 1. This thing has been selling like hotcakes around. And they're fairly inexpensive too. I think these things are like 30, 40 bucks tops. So I would highly recommend the Cascade 1 from Vaporesso. What else do I got over here on my table of goodies? What else do I see here? Could it be the big bad iJust 3? It might just be the iJust 3. If you like pin vapes and you want a badass pin vape, you need to check these things out, man. This thing is, where's it at? 25 millimeters around. So it's a big boy. Where's my 60 ml bottle? Still slightly smaller, you can see there, than this. I shouldn't say slightly. It's still fairly small compared to the 60 ml bottle. But compared to that Vaporesso, look at that. 3 millimeters makes a big difference. But it feels nice in the hand. You know, it's got a really good feel to it. It's hefty. It's thick. The one thing that I think is really cool is you see how they got those grooved designs, kind of geometric patterns in the tube there. It gives it a nice in the hand grip feel to it. It feels very, very pleasing. It is as well removable, so you can take the tank off, put a different tank on there if you don't like this one. But to me, the tank on this one is the star of the show. Personally, I really like this tank. It holds, what is it? 6.5 or 7 mils, like something ridiculous like that. Where is it? It says 7 mils. Oh, nope. 6.5. Okay. That's confusing as heck. Okay, so yeah, it holds 6.5 mils of juice in a pin vape. The battery goes up to 80 watts. It's 3,000 milliamp hours, so it's a big, beefy, plenty of power battery. Now, the tank that they put on this thing is called the Elevate tank, I believe, which is another version of their Elo tank, which is their version of the Baby Beast. So it's Baby Beast coil compatible. But with the larger bubble tank that's on it, no, they're calling it the Duro. My bad. Same thing. It's the Elo Duro instead of the Elevate. Yeah, Elo Duro. I'm not sure what the difference between the Vate and the Duro is. I know the styling's slightly different. This one may have a little bit more airflow. It's huge airflow holes. Look at that. It's huge airflow. But this one comes with their mesh and their net coils. Now, the difference between the two is kind of hard to describe. The mesh coil is a mesh coil, just like we're used to. But the net coil is kind of like the strip coils from Smoke Tech, where it's a flat strip that they've perforated holes into. So it's the same type of effect, just a different way of getting there. Personally, I think they're calling it a multi-hole. My bad. So the net is their mesh coil, and the multi-hole is their strip coil, for lack of a better term. But theoretically, I feel like that multi-hole coil has a little bit more surface area, so you should possibly be able to get a little bit better flavor out of it. But I think it's pretty much the same deal, so I don't think that it would be tough to get a big difference out of it. But you can see it's got the nice fat fire button, and of course the thing I love the most on these Elo tanks, where is it at? Oh, there it is. Bam! Slide. Got him with the slide. Super slick, super easy to fill. I love that slide. And they've even included a nice acrylic wide bore 810 drip tip with it. Each color's got their own color drip tip, so it's all matchy and cool stuff like that. This one has, 3 giant airflow holes, so that's very cool. Where were we? I was somewhere here. Oh, it is fairly tall though. Like I said, it is 136 millimeters tall, so it's not small, but it's still a pin vape, and it's fairly decent size, to be honest with you. To have that much battery capacity and hold that much juice and still be a pin vape pushing 80 watts with a mesh coil, dopeness. So if you're in the market for a bad boy pin vape, check this guy out. This thing will beat a Prince Reza stick 10 times out of 10. So it also has LED battery indicators. So the little LED light that lights up behind the button here and behind the charge port, you can see you got green for up to 60%. From 60 to 30, you've got orange. From 30 to 10, you've got blue, and red for 10 or less. So red basically means go charge your stuff. The charging port, what does it say? Is it 2 amp, 1 amp, 1 amp, 2 amp? It doesn't say. That's weird. I would totally have put that on there. I'm hoping it's 2 amp. I feel like most things nowadays are 2 amp charge. Where'd it go? Nope, does not say. Well, and that's special. Well, since we can't find that, we're going to assume it's 1 amp until I can prove otherwise. But still not bad. I mean, it's a micro USB. It's got a little indicator light on it, so it'll tell you when it's charged. What do we got here? Overcharge protection, over discharge protection, and over current protection. So not quite as many protection features as the Cascade 1, but also not as advanced of a chipset that's in here. So I could totally understand that. But it claims 25 millisecond ramp up speed, so this thing is definitely a quick firing stick vape. So if you want a big beefy stick that's going to last you most of the day, might want to check out the iJust 3. And last but certainly not least, one of my personal favorite looking devices that I've ever had my hands on. This is the Pico S. This thing is all kinds of cool. I'm sorry, it is just too dang cool. So to start off with, it is 100 watts. It's got this super cool S kind of hollow body shape curve to it. Ugh. That tube squeak bugs me though. Makes me cringe. So you can actually take the tube off to get the battery in and out. That's a cool feature. Built in here, you can't really see it, so I put a battery in it, but in between these little ridges is LED lights that reflect back off the tube. Now there's no way to adjust the settings on those or change the colors. It just kind of does what it does, but it's a cool little added feature, I have to say. That bothers me, but anywho, small problem. But it reflects back off the tube and looks super cool. It is a 18650, 21700, or 2700 compatible device that does 100 watts. And it has got the Elevate tank, which is the other variation. Again, not really sure what the difference, but it does have the cool slide top that I love so much. Ooh, excuse me very much. So with the tank on there, this bad boy is 128 millimeters tall, comparatively. Just a little bit shorter than the Espion Infinite. Width-wise, you can see about the same, 52.5 millimeters. Yeah, that works better. And then it is 28.5 millimeters this way, so it's a little bit skinnier. But it has got a super ergonomic design to it because of the rounded tube, the rounded face where the screen's embedded. Just everywhere, which way you could possibly hold this thing feels good and grippy. This tank also holds 6.5 mils, so very similar size comparison, tank to tank. It has got the fancy resin with the kind of honeycomb drip tip thing going on there. This also comes with your net and your multi-hole coils. So the same coils that were in the iJust 3, get with this guy. This one's got a little bit different airflow. I'm not going to say it's less, it's just different. The holes seem to be a little bit smaller maybe, but they're wider. So they're kind of wider and shorter, whereas the other ones to me are more tall and boxy, if that makes sense. Let me see. I might be able to give you a little side-by-side here. Can you kind of see what I'm talking about? Maybe if I close them, you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at that. Like I know what I'm doing. See the metal through them? So you can see they're comparable, but I feel like the iJust has a little bit taller, but it's not as wide as the Pico S. So similar, but I think the iJust 3 probably has slightly larger airflow. Oh, so I lied. Apparently you can change the LED color. I'm an idiot. It says there's 7 color options that you can choose the color among red, green, blue, cyan, white, yellow, and purple. Just choose the default one. Oh, it's a combination of red, blue, green. Oh, that's why. I didn't find how to change it on the menu yet. Don't I look silly? Like I said, 100 watts, slide top, 6.5 mils, so it holds plenty of juice. Same 25 millisecond firing, and they actually have a chart up here that shows you that it hits right before or right at 25 milliseconds. And it's a nice flat wave too. It's none of the pulse modulation. It's just so that's pretty cool. High compatibility. They're saying that the 510 is 26.5 millimeters around, so you can fit any kind of 25 mil tank on there without any overhang. And there is a little bit of space between the two. You can kind of see right there. So if you wanted to put a bigger tank on it, you could definitely do that as well. Dual circuit protection, reverse polarity protection. That means if you put the battery in backwards. It does have the 2 amp quick charge function. So it'll charge your battery up real quick. And as always, you can update the firmware through that micro USB on the front. So that is your Pico S. Pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. Now, the last little bit for the show today, I just want to throw some stuff at you guys. We've got some new juices here at RVA Vapes. We've always carried glass. We've carried glass for a long time. But now we have added the Glass Basics series. Now, we only picked up a couple of them to kind of try it out, but they seem to be doing really well. The Butterscotch Reserve is a Butterscotch Caramel RY4 blend. Something brand new to RVA Vapes. We have never had an RY4 here until 2 weeks ago. And that was the Butterscotch Reserve. It's very rich, but very tasty as well. Wouldn't even know there was tobacco in it unless I told you. Oops, but I just did. So don't think of it as a tobacco flavor. Think of it as a desserty flavor. We also have the strawberry gummy, and this one's actually replacing the Molly from Modus. It's a very similar profile to Molly, so if you're a fan of Molly, you definitely want to check this one out. But to me, it's got a little cleaner finish to it, and a little bit better balance between the sweet and the tart. Makes it very kind of neutral on the acidity scale for me. And the last one is the sugar cookie. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten the shipment of sugar cookie quite yet, but Little Birdie told me that it should be coming in probably next week. So keep your eyes out for that. That one is probably my favorite, honestly, out of all three of them. But, you know, I'm kind of partial to cookies. I'm a fat guy at heart. Next, and this is breaking news at RVA Vapes. We have actually got not just one, but 3 flavors from Vapetasia coming in this weekend for our big party with XL102. Shout out to Mojo and Liz and Vaughn over there at XL102 Richmond. They're coming by. They're going to be helping us give away some tickets to BFD, Big Field Day, which is their music festival happening the following weekend. And the grand prize at our party is going to be tickets to the show, and you get to meet J. Roddy Walston in the business. Shout out RVA crew. That means they're from Richmond, Virginia, in case you didn't pick up that or weren't from the area. So we've had the Killer Custard for a couple weeks, but this weekend we're launching Blackberry Lemonade, which is a sweet... Oh, I can't even read it. It's so damn small. A sweet blackberry lemonade. There's a whole bunch of other words there, but they're so small I can't read. Succulent blackberries create a more complex sweet/tart flavor combined with classic lemonade. Man, somebody who's really good at marketing wrote that. As always, the Killer Custard is the purest, smoothest, greatest custard flavor there is. And Rainbow Road. Rainbow Road's an interesting one because it's the dreamy taste of colorful breakfast cereal that starts fruity citrus and then turns to berry with some milk finish. That one is interesting, and I'm actually kind of a fan of the Rainbow Road personally. I'm vaping Killer Custard right now, but the Rainbow Road is good because it's a little bit Fruit Loops and it's a little bit Crunch Berry, so it's kind of a good blend in between. So if you like one more than you like the other, this one will do it for you. And if you like the other one more than the other one, this one will still do it for you. So it's a really good straight down the line fruity cereal mix. And those will be debuting on Saturday. So please feel free to stop by and grab a bottle. And then the big ones. So we got 2 brand new full lines coming out at the party on Saturday. The first one is Air Factory. And the 3 flavors we picked up from them is going to be Berry Rush, which is a flavorful mixed berry candy kind of situation. But you've got the darker berry family there. So you've got some strawberry, blueberry, a little bit of raspberry possibly. The mystery flavor, which is by far their most popular flavor, tastes just like a mystery flavor Airhead. Delicious candy taffy flavor. And then we picked up a menthol one from them too. It's a frozen symphony of tropical strawberry kiwi. So anybody that likes cryptic or that likes keyberry yogurt, keep an eye out for that tropical freeze because that might be your new jam. And then, just in case there wasn't enough new juice coming to RVA Vapes, we got 3 more flavors. And these are something I'm really excited about. Now, these are 2 60 ml bottles to a box. So you get 2 separate physical bottles that make up 120 ml. And we got the Honeydew Melon Chew, which is what I was vaping all day yesterday. It's a sweet melon and cool honeydew flavor. So all you guys out there looking for the melon vapes that have been asking us, where's the melons at? Where's the melons at? When you going to have some honeydew stuff? We got you, yo. Honeydew Melon Chew is where it's at. We also have Peach Blossom Lemonade, which is a crisp mix of ripe peach slices and lemonade. So it's a really good balance between sweet and citrus. That one I think is going to sell really, really well. I don't have a ton of peach stuff here, but you know when we get peach, it's good. And last but certainly not least is our Wild Watermelon Lemonade. Refreshing watermelon infused lemonade. This one they claim is their best seller. So if you want a bottle of that, I would suggest you get here early on Saturday. The party starts at 4, so be here by like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Otherwise, I can't guarantee we're going to have a bottle for you. That being said, I think I've run out of new products to talk about, which is crazy because there's so many of them. I hope that looked cool. I've always wanted to do that. And unfortunately, we're almost out of time. So let me jump back over here to some of the questions and make sure that everybody gets mentioned. So let me see where we're at. Okay, yes, to find out about your batteries, don't trust the wraps. There's a really good resource, Battery Mooch, or Mooch, M-O-O-C-H, Battery. He has his own YouTube channel now. He also has Instagram. But he is my source. When I want to find out about batteries, that's who I go look at. So I would definitely recommend checking Mooch Battery out. He rates and tests all the different types of batteries that we use for vaping. And he's fairly current with it, so even some of the newer 21700s and stuff that have come out recently are up there on his blog, as well as he makes charts that show you like the claimed rating, like what the label on the wrap says versus what he actually tested them at. So definitely check out Battery Mooch for any type of specific battery information if you want to know if you've got the proper batteries for the stuff that you're running. Yeah, so if you're out there in vape land and you're not local here to Virginia, we do have a website, shop.rvavapes.com, and we put our products up there for sale. Usually if we have a review for a product, there's a coupon code associated with that, so check out our other videos on our YouTube channel and see if we've reviewed any of the stuff that you're interested in, and there should be a coupon code somewhere in the review for you. I don't know if all the products I showed you tonight are on the website, because I have to do that too. I wear this hat and 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 this hat. So I'm only one man and I can only do so much. But if it's not up there today, check back on like Thursday, because I'm going to try to do a bunch of that stuff tomorrow. But it's a slow, tedious process, and I can't always get it done in a day. But yeah, just check back with us on the website if you're looking for something in particular. Um, Juice, yeah. So we try to do fairly like standardized size pricing, but it doesn't always work out that way. Certain juices are just cheaper or more expensive than other juices. But generally, our 60 mils are $24.99. The Glass Basics is actually $22.99, so it's even better of a deal. 100 mils, like the Vapetasia stuff, are $29.99. And then the 120 mil bottles are like $32, I want to say. We don't have a ton of 120 stuff, but I think that's what the prices are. We also have flavor of the week every week, so make sure you come by and ask about what our flavor of the week is, because it's $5 off a bottle, and it changes every week. So if you don't like it this week, just come back next week and you can get a different bottle. What can you do to advocate better for your area? Most states have local advocacy groups like us here. We started the Virginia Smoke Free Association, VSFA, but most states now have got some sort of state level organization like that. So I would Google it, or if you have a favorite local vape shop, go and ask them. They should know. Hopefully, they're a member of that group. I know being a member of the VSFA gets you 15% off all your purchases at any participating store. So, like if you're a VSFA member, you come in, you show us your card, you get 15% off anything, whatever you buy. So in Virginia, it pays for itself if you're a vapor. You know, you couple bottles of juice, and the membership is already paid for itself. I don't know how they do it in other states, but I know locally that's how we do it here. But I'm sure you can Google it. Another good resource is the VTA, the Vapor Trade Association, and that's more of a back end version for like vape companies and companies in the vape industry. But I know you can go on their site and get a lot of information about your elected representatives if you want to get in touch with them to tell them about something that you want done, or some of the legislation that may be affecting your particular area, like New York, for example. They do have resources for that. They have a website that's consumer facing, that's savevapor.org. Let me throw that up for you. I'm going to put that in the link, or in the chat box here. So that way, it would help if I could friggin' spell right. God, I'm an idiot. Bam, there you go. Savevapor.org is the consumer-facing version of the VTA. They also list all of their partner state-level organizations, so that's why I put that in there. It's kind of a dual purpose. You can get in touch with your elected officials through them, and you can also find out what your local state advocacy group is called, so that you can get involved, get in touch, join up with them. And that's really the best place to start, because a lot, especially if they're a VTA member, they're already working on your specific state area, and the VTA is helping them. But it's also going to help you in the long run, because if you're involved with a group that affiliates with the VTA, they're also going to help in the legislation at the federal level. That's good stuff. Thanks, Bob. What am I running? I got the Joytech Espion Infinite, because it's a dual 21700. I'm all about that battery life. Fireluke mesh tank with the acrylic extension glass on it, because I'm clumsy sometimes. And then Ruthless Easy Does It Strawberry Watermelon. That's my setup for the date. But when I go home, I got a skunk box with killer custard in it. So I like desserts at night, fruit during the day. Nope, can't do any vape tricks. Sorry, bro. Cool. All right, well, it looks like most of the questions I've got answered. If I didn't get to your question, please feel free to shoot me an email. through our website, or you can just put it in the comments below and I'll check it when I see the notification. Other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is a pleasure to help you and allow me to talk on your behalf, or talk to you at least. I know I'm not the prettiest looking thing in the world, but hopefully you learned something today. And if you didn't, then shoot me a message and maybe I'll talk about something that you want to hear about next month. But that's all I've got. Ran a little bit over today, but that's not a big deal. I do it for you guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got new reviews every single Saturday. This Saturday, I'm actually doing the Pulse 80 watt box by Vandy Vape. So there's a regulated squonk box coming up Saturday for you. And make sure you click the little bell so that you get notifications when we go live or when we post those reviews on Saturday. If you're local, make sure you come by and see us this Saturday starting at 4 p.m., 6100 West Broad Street. We got over $5,000 worth of prizes we're giving away. So be here or be square. And other than that, if you want to smoke, that's your business. If you don't, holla at us. Yeah, I'm going to see AWOL Nation. Suck it.